What's up, guys? Welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV as we break down the challenge and talk hot dogs.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
What do you see? Yes, great song.
I don't know this song.
Look at your personality. It's great. It's a good song.
Well, welcome to the challenge as we break down episode 2, settling the scores. And indeed, they do. I'm your host, Paulina Aguilar, and you guys can find me on Twitter at _Paulina Aguilar and on Instagram at Paulina M. Aguilar. And please welcome my lovely co-hosts.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Pamela Gross. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Pamela Gross Jill.
Hey guys, and my name is Jenna. You can find me on Twitter at Jenna _Bussiere.
All right, let's break this down. And tonight we've got hot dogs and chips. What do we think about this?
Oh, man. Tonight was action-packed, never a dull moment. Tension the whole way through, like edge your seat.
Really?
Nail biter, yeah.
I thought the total opposite.
Really?
Oh,
I loved
I
this episode.
Yeah.
I liked the episode. I mean, maybe the challenge with the hot dogs wasn't that cutthroat, but
Right.
it was still really entertaining. Like, it was funny. It had a comedy factor to it.
There was tension. I mean, there was never a dull moment. I mean, the challenge itself was a little silly. You know, they're running through condiments or rolling through condiments.
But it was still neck and neck
there
and
was
back and
still-
forth. There was good parts of that. I
Yeah.
agree.
But can you only imagine how much food is wasted doing that thing?
Ooh, how much ketchup?
And
Imagine how
mustard.
many
I don't
barrels
even
and
like hot
barrels.
dogs, but the fact that all of that got wasted, they probably could have thought about 1,000 other
Maybe they
things
used
to
expired. Hopefully it was
That's
expired.
even worse
Maybe.
to have
It's
that
not.
up in your mouth and your face. And
Hey, but this is the challenge.
smell.
This is what you signed up for,
yeah.
rather than wasting fresh
I would
mustard
not have
and
done
ketchup.
well on that.
What would you rather? Expired ketchup and mustard or like pickled horse urine eggs? I mean, you know,
Oh.
a little, it's not that
I
bad
actually have
compared
to think
other
about that one
things.
because it's really gross, the whole
Really?
ketchup thing.
Really?
And the yeah.
You're not
I
a
don't do well.
condimenter?
Like, I don't like to wash dishes, like that whole mess.
Mustard
of,
and ketchup for
Really?
me any
Like,
day.
yeah, it doesn't. I would
that's
almost
so
like
funny.
nearing or eating urine
Really?
eggs. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird. But let's talk about some of this. We've got a few rivals on here. We've got Bananas and Wes. And then I didn't know that Mirman and CM Punk had a thing going on from what, 10 years
I
ago?
had no idea. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody knew. That's why they kind of had to dig it up and make that rivalry happen.
Right.
Maybe say, oh, backtrack, you guys probably missed this, but in 2007,
Probably,
we went back
yeah.
and forth with
Yeah.
some Twitter arguments.
Oh, I'm sure they did because their
Yeah.
paths don't cross. You know, the totally different
Exactly.
sports, and so that is a good point.
It is funny though, because I feel like that happens a lot with athletes and celebrities in general. So it's cool to get them in the same room and then
Right.
have them bring that up. I mean, it was so many years ago, but I'm sure that there's still that awkward tension. Like, hey, do you remember this? I guess let's just squash it.
And that's what I wanted to know. He's like, you know, at the pool, you were walking by. It's like, ooh, what pool? What's the pool that they were all at? And
It was
and he
probably at a
walking
hotel
by.
they were
Yeah,
in town
CM
for.
Punk,
some event must have been
Yeah.
going on.
Said it was during, I think, a WWE event, and then
Okay.
Shawn Merriman was walking by some of the divas from the WWE, kind of poking his chest out, I guess, kind of trying to lure them. I don't know,
Yeah.
kind of trying to show off,
Yeah.
maybe in a way to hit on them,
just
kind of be
Lure, insinuate
flirtatious.
something totally
So
different.
CM Punk initiated it on Twitter,
Right.
and then they went back and forth, and it was kind of funny, like what they said to each other. But
Yeah.
This whole social media war thing that people do is just ridiculous. Like, I'd rather just yell it to your face.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like everyone just hides behind a computer screen calling people names and, you know, all that, you know, BS.
Yep.
But they go and play some flag football, which is nice, you
Yes.
know, team building skills.
That was cute.
But there was a little tiff between Lolo and Lindsay, which
Yeah.
seems that Lolo is a little bit involved with everybody.
Yeah. I love Lolo. I love watching her. She is perfection for the show just because she's such a short fuse and she's a great competitor. So it's really fun to watch. But I was watching that. Lindsay just seemed normal, like playing and kind of talking friendly, sportsmanly crap. And Lolo seemed to fly off the handle and get really, really mad and really, really offended. And it's like, whoa, what's going on? But I guess that's just her style.
But do
I
you
guess
think she was in
takes-
the wrong? Was she overreacting?
Well, from what we saw, it didn't seem, I guess it seems as though she's like, you're always criticizing me. So we didn't get to see any background of her criticizing her, but she did respond as though there was some background to that.
The reason she got so upset was because they were playing flag football and Lindsay pulled her flags.
Right.
So Lolo said, oh, well, am I allowed to push?
Right.
Am I allowed to get more aggressive? Lolo just doesn't like to lose, which I get it.
Right.
I get being competitive like that. Like, sometimes I can't even go bowling because I don't want to face the fact that I suck so much. So I get that. But at the same time, she is taking it more over the top than the other athletes.
Right.
Everybody there is a professional athlete or was, so they understand what it's like to be so overly competitive.
Right.
But for some reason, she seems to be the one that has the hottest head.
Right.
I think her biggest problem right now is learning how to turn it off or even to turn it down, because she has had this problem since the beginning of this season. We saw it all last episode, but with I believe his name was Gus. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's her biggest problem. And and you're right as far as like they are professionals, and that's just built in them from the day that they started training for their sport. So I get it, but I don't know. I want to see her turn it
down.
Yeah. I mean, it's flag football. I mean, I can be overcompetitive too, but as I can talk crap all day,
right?
But I mean, I think there's a line. It's just for fun.
Save it for the competition and not with your teammate.
Yeah. That's her biggest
also,
issue right now.
I wonder, and I bet we can find this out really easily, if she has siblings, because she seems to me, if any of you guys have ever, I don't know if you all have siblings, she seems to have only child syndrome in her response to like my charity, it's like everybody.
Are you an only
there,
child?
I am not. I'm a middle child.
And she
also, I don't know, that's like even worse.
The opposite. Well, it's almost the opposite. You have to
she
share
also
all your
competes
toys.
in an individual
Well, that's
sport.
like this response was the same. So with Gus, when they got into it, it was like my charity, and everyone's charity is important to them. With this, it's like, well, I want to win. I'm competitive. So are all these people.
Right.
She seems to have a sort of myopic view of herself as the only person experiencing these kinds of traumas. Everyone else is able to kind of handle it in a way. Again, having said that, don't ever stop Lolo. I love it. I like her. I don't want her to be, it's great, and it's great for drama, and it's the most like the champs. She's the most like the champs. We need one of those people on that team.
That's true.
To go sort of bananas.
I guess I just really want to know where it comes from, because it could be maybe she is an only child. I have no idea. But we talked about her being an individual sport, but so is Louise. Mm-hmm. There's
a maturity level too. I mean, let's be honest. I think she's great, but that is I don't know it just seems vaguely immature to fly off the handle like that all the time.
Yeah.
It's, no one else is doing it because they're, because that's not really how
I think she needs to just learn how to like keep that in and just save it for an elimination, save it for the competition. Like there's certain places that call for that.
Direct it to a more appropriate, like yelling at your teammate about wanting to like essentially saying, can I block you? Are we allowed to fight them? It's like, no, it's touch football and you're playing for fun.
You're at the neighborhood park.
Right.
Seriously. It is an overreaction, but I do kind of like that she drives home her opinions, and she is so outspoken. I'm kind of envious of that. She
and I think that's
says what she thinks, and you got to respect it, so I like that.
Yeah.
She's just she's competitive, and she doesn't like to lose, so
I think that's why her and Bananas get along and can relate to each other in that sense, and I think that's why he is also kind of taking her under his wing.
Well, I on that though, I do think, and on that, I think Bananas is strategic and manipulative. And does it on purpose and gets under people's skin. And I think she is just living out loud. Like she just has a thought and a feeling, and she expresses
no
it.
filter.
No
she
filter.
thinks something
no
comes
filter.
out of her mouth.
I think Bananas.
She hasn't figured out the strategic part of this game yet.
Right.
Like Bananas has.
Banana. I like that.
Banana. Yeah.
So that I think if she tweaks that a little bit, it's got Bananas 2.0.
Okay.
Well, that's exactly. I don't think she needs to control her opinions or quiet down or anything. Just maybe
learn how to use
channel it, get a little more game instead of just screaming every thought you feel at any time.
I think we've diagnosed Lolo enough for
Lolo.
being her psychotherapist.
Yes.
No, these are good points. I really want to know about that. This is the second episode. We've seen it the whole time. We had to go through that.
Yep.
Now let's go through the disgusting ketchup mustard relish thing, which I honestly was not a fan of this.
I love that this is what grosses you out. Like, of all the things
It
they've
does.
done,
It
this
does.
is
Like,
what
I will
is
not
getting
eat
you.
ice cream in a bowl because I don't like melted ice cream. Like, it grosses me out. Like,
Only
I cannot wash
cones?
dishes. I only eat ice cream of cones
Okay.
or a popsicle. Like, melted
is
stuff.
so
Like, it
interesting.
grosses me
Question.
out.
Do you mix, like, if you're eating Chinese food or Indian food or even like meat and potatoes and applesauce, will you like put a little
Yeah,
bit of each?
I can mix it.
Oh,
I
so
can
you're
mix
not
it.
grossed out by that. You just don't like.
I just don't
mushy?
like it's on the saran wrap and it's just like slimy. It's just gross.
It's just mushy tomatoes. You
Mashed
know.
potatoes is different.
I think there's no doubt that it's
just-
disgusting. And think about how
But,
hot
like,
it
the
is
sight-
outside.
I was
You're
about to say,
sweating.
it's hot.
You're wrapped in plastic wrap. You can't move. What if you have an itch? You can't
I'd be
even
going
touch
to the
yourself.
bathroom.
And the only thing you can do is now you're diving in ketchup and
It's
mustard.
not like a dream come true, but they've certainly done. Like, I'd rather do that than like getting soaked down to nothing with.
I'd
my craw.
rather
I mean,
be
there's so
locked
many
in
more
like
awful-
a little coffin thing that they did last season.
Oh,
and
really?
just
Just
dug
being
it out.
buried alive? Are
Yeah.
you kidding?
Okay.
Probably
Yeah. Oh my
because
God,
I don't like being. I mean, it's a different that being in a coffin's claustrophobic, but like being contained like that will freak me out even more. To be honest,
That
it's weird.
would
I
be
just I
annoying.
can't. Yeah,
But
I don't like being held down like that where I cannot move my arms.
do you eat mustard in life? Like, if you
Yeah.
were eating, okay, so you're not
Yeah.
grossed out by like mustard.
No, I
in
mean
and
I
of
don't like
itself.
relish, but I mean nonetheless I don't like that
Okay.
whole thing that it's mixed and
think-
you're rolling it. It's
yeah.
in my hair and it's just.
I think
Yeah.
it's so funny to see them compete in something that's almost patronizing towards them. They're
Right.
these
I
huge,
feel-
athletic, strong athletes, and now they're just
Like
rolling
rolling.
and
But I think that's why
inchworming
they
tucked
did
in
that
plastic wrap.
because the champs, you know, they
comical.
compete and they do this practically almost, you know, it's not more than a hobby.
Yeah.
You know, and then you've got the pros who are surrounded by competition and they don't get to joke around like that
Right.
and they don't get to have fun. So I think this was MTV's way of kind of just being, let's just throw them a bone and let
Yes.
them have some fun.
Yeah, I
Which
loved it,
is
and I laughed the whole
fine,
time.
but I guess.
And-
I like
and
the more competitive stuff.
I see this. I think like this one, because of the pace of the show and that two people are going every time,
So
it's so
fast.
intense. Like, it's so heavy almost. There's such drama because there's so much at stake that I liked having the levity of like a goofy.
I like that too. Every now and then,
challenge
you need them
this
to throw in a
time.
challenge that's funnier.
Yeah, that's just
So you
silly.
get to see them
'cause
do something ridiculous.
It would have been
Exactly.
if it was intense. It would have just been so intense. I thought this was.
I'm pretty
major
sure
intense.
Sean Merriman did not think he would be rolling.
Oh
like
my
a hot
god!
dog. Poor
Watching
thing,
him was
he got
so
knocked out.
funny.
Yeah.
So the team captains were CM Punk and Jordan.
Okay.
So I thought the funny thing is it's nice to see strategy come into this because Lindsay seems to block Camilla, and Camilla don't like it.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Which, by the way,
How is
if
it
it
not
were
fair?
her, she'd be all for it. Come on.
She totally.
It's
did
part
it.
of the game.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
complain. Just I think she's just mad that she did not think about
Exactly.
it.
I was going to say these pros can teach the champs a thing or two. Like, they just never thought of that. It's like, oh, I got there first. They're so used to just winning. And it's like, yeah, you can also block someone. Time matters. So-
Lindsay is really good. She's surprising me because no offense to the sport at all. I just thought her coming in, she was going to have a very specific skill set, being a cross-board snowboarder, and I didn't think that she was. I don't know if that was going to translate well to the type of games and competitions you do on this show, but she's shocking me. She's doing
but guess
really
what?
well and finishing first.
Yeah, and every game that you play, it's all mental.
Yep.
She was already done. And she's like, I'm just gonna waddle myself over and block her. She did well.
Also, I
really
think
good.
she's got secret game. She flew under the radar last week. She just seemed like nice and unassuming. She didn't really get involved in anything. And now we're seeing she's no little like I don't think she's any kind of victim. I think last week she was overtaken by the drama with Lo and Louise and the Lemon, and this time we're seeing she's got strategy. There's who's the old like walk softly but carry a big stick. I think she's gonna show up when she needs to. I agree. She's surprising me. I thought she was just like nice girl and a snowboarder,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
I
I still think
she's
she's
got
really
some.
nice.
I think she's
she
nice,
just-
but I think she can be. I think she's got it in her
She
to
just
be
doesn't
sneaky.
do the confrontations as much as like
I
a
think she
Lolo
would though
Jones.
if she got. I think
Okay.
she would.
Oh well, we do see a preview. She does come out Lolo later and say,
Oh.
Can I go in, Victor? Can I volunteer? So she does go into an elimination.
Yeah, I think those two are going to get into it.
Lolo's
she
gonna
does
get into it
have-
with everybody.
Yeah,
You're right. She does have some
I do
spice.
think she's not going to let anyone
word.
walk all over her. That's what I don't think she's a starter of drama, but I do think she seems like she's not going to let anyone walk all
good.
over her either, which is she's
Well, the other
low-key
starter of
tough.
drama, Banana, is here, and CM Punk got in a little bit of a tip
Ooh.
afterwards, which I actually loved. I
That
loved
was-
it because low. You know what? Bananas can go very low, but he's also. I'll give him the respect as he's also saying the things that people are thinking. Okay, it is because I was thinking the same thing, and I'm pretty sure fans of the UFC or of the WWE were thinking the same thing. So, for those of you who don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, James, I know you're out there, our producer, our engineer, and
Chime in.
and Jenna, CM Punk lost in the UFC his only match by submission. A terrible loss.
2 minutes and 14 seconds was the total time where
like
he
he
lost.
quit, basically.
No, he
No
didn't
submission,
quit.
so he tapped out. It was
was
whatever
choked
whatever
unconscious.
hold he was in.
He was unconscious, yeah.
Well,
but here's the
he was
problem. The problem is that he spent so much of his time training and competing in the WWE as a wrestler that transition, it's not the same. And I think James, chime in if you would. Your analogy was right. Was when you spend 30 years learning how to not completely hit somebody and you pretend and you fake it, and then all of a sudden you're trained on a certain skill to learn how to hit somebody. That's hard.
right.
and making a crossover you might not be ready for yet. But I mean, he tried it, so maybe some credit. But there also could have been a lot of
There's
money involved,
so many
fame.
more factors when it comes to like cutting weight. Cutting
Yep.
weight is huge for fighters. Wrestlers don't have to cut weight unless you're like a collegiate wrestler. So something just like that, where it's like, oh man, you need to lose 20 pounds over this next day or weekend, and to make weight to fight, and then put all this weight back on for the next day to actually fight. That's a big deal. Not only has he been not trying to hurt people for 30 years, but the guy he's fought, Mickey Gall, that destroyed him, has been fighting 30 years to destroy people.
Right.
So you gotta understand, it might not have been the best decision he can make, but it was something he wanted to do. He did it on his own terms. He chose to leave WWE to go to UFC. Like, he left a top guy making tons of money because he wanted to cross this off his bucket list. And he's had the guts to step in the cage and see what it's like, as opposed to someone like Joe Rogan, who commentates for UFC and is a Taekwondo fighter and has been training to fight his whole life, but would never step in the cage and fight for real. Like, there's a big difference. There's a lot of people who can talk
So there's
talk.
credit to be given to CM Punk.
Yeah,
for
at least he had the
attempting the
balls to
crossover.
stand in there and take the hit and get beat in 2 minutes and 14 seconds and be like, okay, well, I'll still try again, and not be like, well, I'm done. I made my millions off one fight.
Right.
I'm done.
Okay.
And you said that he's still training right now?
I believe
Continuing
so.
to train
Yeah,
for the UFC?
He's training for
All right.
another fight for sure. He doesn't know when it's
So-
going to be or if it's going to happen.
Well,
but he's
his-
always training.
So,
His job description right now is UFC fighter, so
fighter.
he's still very much trying to.
so James, also you
Get
said
back
the
in
fans, the WWE fans didn't want him to leave. Are they,
No.
did he,
Wrestling fans wanted him to stay in wrestling.
Right.
But they support him, so they just followed him.
what about the
Okay.
UFC fans?
UFC fans didn't want him.
I know.
So
My-
there's this really big divide between wrestling fans and MMA fans of like, oh, that shit's fake, and
Right.
like, oh, that shit's not real. But because then when someone like Brock Lesnar, who is an ex-wrestler that went to UFC, that beat the shit out of everyone there and became champion within like 2 fights, then they can't argue like, oh, wrestling's fake, it's not real, when a pro wrestler comes in and kicks the shit out of your top champion. Like, how fake is it then? You know what I'm saying? So CM
Yeah, I mean,
Punk
that makes sense. Same
going
thing with
to
UFC, boxing. There is obviously a divide
wrestling
between
fans
these
were
different
there
types
to
of
be
fighting.
like, yeah, CM Punk, we want you to win, so you're on our team.
Right.
As MMA fans were like, we don't even want you here.
So do you
Right.
think that Bananas then had a point for the low blows that he did give to CM Punk?
A lot of people were thinking the same thing he was. My sister does jujitsu and MMA and all that stuff, and she thought the exact same thing that James was just saying. She is not a fan of him, and I have never trained in any of those things. I feel like if you're good at something and you're the top dog in your one sport, do what you're good at. Stick with what you're good at. I understand if you want to, try different things and all that stuff. But that's a big career move. It could either hurt it. It can go both ways. And I feel like if he was one of the top dogs in WWE, stick with it.
Well,
That's what works. That's what you're good at. That's what the fans want to see.
I think that there was overlying reasons why he left between management and the organization of WWE as a whole.
Okay.
I think that there was reason behind him leaving. Yeah, I think that he thought he wasn't being treated well. I don't know if payment was an issue, but I remember reading something that he wanted to leave that organization. So I guess where he could think that UFC is on the similar type of athletic mat as a WWE.
Right.
He wasn't happy.
Right.
So he decided to leave, but he wanted to pursue MMA, but he was willing to start at what is called like camo, like the lower league fights where like you fight amateur before you become a professional. But Dana White was like, no, man, like I want you because you're a name and thousands and
money.
thousands
Gotta
of
bring
people
in
are
that
gonna
money.
buy
Couldn't
my
he have
pay-per-view
gone down to like
see you.
NXT though?
Well, NXT is a wrestling WWE thing, but Camo would be like the NXT
version
for
of it.
UFC.
Yeah.
So they're like the up and comers of trying to get their name out, and you're not fighting professionally yet. You're still an amateur. But Dana White was like, no, man, I'm going to pay you all this money, and you're going to come to UFC and
Must
not
be
work your
nice.
way up
I
the ranks
know.
because
Wow.
you're a name. It's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
in the past where there's this ex-boxer. I can't remember his name, but he went to UFC because he wanted to fight, and he's like, oh, I'm going to knock people out with these 4-ounce gloves. And Randy Couture destroyed him in like 40 seconds, took him down to the ground and choked him out. It's like his boxing isn't the same. You have 20-ounce gloves, and you're not allowed to take down and kick, and that's why it's called mixed martial arts.
Right.
It's like the best of everything.
Yeah. And overall, I think that Bananas is really good at finding people's weak points and using that against them. And he sought out CM's vulnerabilities and he really pushed his buttons, which is what Bananas does best. That's his game, kind of a manipulation game. Anything I can do to get you upset, to maybe take your mind out of this game.
Right.
Maybe throw a punch at me, whatever you got to do. So he knew what to say to CM Punk. And like Paulina said, it's something that a lot of people were thinking.
Yep.
But nobody would have said that on the show. But Johnny has that in him, that kind of resentment that he will push somebody's buttons no matter what he has to
I just say
say.
with the whole CM Punk, like if you're training again to come back into the UFC and compete and all that stuff, why go on a reality show? Well, you know, like if I'm CM Punk,
charity.
I'd be
okay.
let's take charity out of this, because if he's making all that money in the UFC that everyone's claiming, he can donate as much as he wants to that charity. Okay, let's just take that out. I'm just saying, if I'm made a fool of myself or did that poorly in one match and I want to come back and redeem in a sport that I've always wanted to pursue, why not spend all this time filming a reality show to keep training?
But
that doesn't make sense to me.
It's again, as we touched on, I get it what you're saying sports-wise, like for the sport, you should need, just be training. But it is a business, and there's a lot to be said for the exposure. A ton of people, myself included, didn't know about the wrestling and CM Punk, and now I'll check it out. It's a whole new thing, and it is a business, and someone wanted him to, and he's got a good personality for it, and it's just exposure to a new.
It's a way to keep
audience.
him on TV.
Yeah, it keeps him relevant.
Keep him relevant without him getting hurt.
But see,
and
that I do not like him anymore.
In between, because UFC, they might go like every month, but a fighter typically fights maybe 4 times a year.
Right.
And that's like if you're fighting all the time.
And it's still, it's a different kind of, one could argue it is a different kind of competition, in that exactly what we saw with Johnny. Like, he's not used to, well, actually, I bet he is. They probably psych each other out in wrestling and stuff too. They probably talk smack before a game.
But it's scripted though. Like the WWE, it's scripted, and they each have a character. They have a persona that they're playing. So they're not really playing John Cena, him as nice a guy as he is. The UFC is different.
And again, I kind of feel like, oh, John Cena, why are you in movies? Shouldn't you just be working on your, because they want to do other things too. I don't think you can fault people for wanting to do other things.
I'm
you
sorry,
know?
but I do not want to see Tim Tebow play baseball if he's a good football player, or Michael Jordan play baseball.
It's very
I'm sorry, no, I
different.
want to see the greatest
Doesn't
basketball
bother
player
me.
play and slam dunk and make blocks. So, you know, that's what I want to see.
Tim Tebow really wants to play baseball? And
Well,
is
then let him
really-
play. I haven't seen him play.
Like-
I can honestly say I have not seen
Yeah.
him play.
I mean, I do respect that from what James just told us, that he was willing to start at the bottom. It seemed like he really wanted to make a change.
But
I
see,
don't know.
I think that would have given him a lot more respect from UFC
Well,
fans.
they wouldn't. They wanted the powers that be. Apparently, said no, be a wrestler. Or a,
I mean, if he keeps training and he builds it
maybe
up
he'll
and he
get
becomes
good.
a good fighter and a competitor, then
That's
maybe
a lot
he will
to come
gain their
back
respect.
from.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot to
but
come back from.
He
He's
needs
gonna
to fight
keep
someone
trying.
that is around his same caliber
Yes.
of experience is
Yep.
the thing. Like, you can't put him in someone who had one professional fight but has had 60 amateur fights and has been training in MMA since they were
Right.
young,
It's also
and
hard.
not expect him to destroy him in 2 minutes and 14 seconds, because then that guy would have looked like a chump.
But as from a business standpoint, isn't it hard to grab, be like, hey, I want you, you're such a big name, but I'm going to put you at the, you know,
Right.
not so high as a match, like as opponent. That's hard to do, I feel like. You know,
Well, he
if I
learned his
want you.
lesson.
Right. It seems
What
He
they
went in
should have
thinking that
done
he was probably
as
better than he
crazy
was.
as this sounds, what they should have done is put him against the Green Ranger. Anthony David Frank he fights MMA now, and he has a professional background.
The Green
But
Lantern.
he's the
Ranger.
Green Ranger from Power
I love
Rangers.
the names.
Yeah.
Because he's a celebrity and Punk's a celebrity, and it would have
Right.
been pretty evenly matched. And they both have that superstardom of like, oh yeah, the average person's gonna tune in to see this, and it's not like, oh, you just fought like one of the top 10 fighters. No wonder you got destroyed in 2 minutes.
Right.
Well, I guess we're all
Well,
going to have to wait to see what happens in his next match, whenever that is.
On Bananas, I think he got to a level that was pretty disrespectful. That's why,
Really?
like, yeah, I thought
Really?
it was just like
I thought his lowest point was taking that money from Sarah.
that was really
That was his lowest point.
well,
This was a bunch of trash
he
talk.
plays dirty. That was
It was
I feel
really
like
low blow.
It
trash
was low,
talk,
and it
though.
was like
it was like you're nothing. Your career is nothing. Meanwhile, CM Punk is sitting on so much money and fame from his time in the WWE, and even that one UFC fight. So it was kind of ironic.
And
I
it's
would
like,
have asked how
whoa,
many
got
people.
where-
you nothing.
I would have asked how many people walk around wearing bananas. to
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
exactly.
Bananas.
It's
Just
like,
know who you're talking to.
But
Yeah.
look, it balances out. Bananas game, the way that he plays is low, it's dirty, it's vicious,
It
it's
is.
everything. But guess what? CM Punk gets to go back home to his mansion with a job and training and
Right.
fans and all this stuff, and Banana can, you know, do what he does in brand new house that he bought, you know. So guess what? CM Punk is laughing out the door.
Well, yes. Again, I think he is, but I do think he seemed he seemed, you know, uncomfortable with that level of sort of abuse that he kind of took.
Yeah, it's a
I
different
feel like
environment.
It's a different
honestly-
environment.
It's a
and
different
like,
atmosphere.
Didn't care that
Whoa,
much. I feel like he was
okay.
like, all right, go. He kind of had that same idea in his head. He's like, you're a fan. You don't know who you're talking to. Whatever, keep talking. I'm not
Right.
gonna let you get to me, which I thought was good. He kept his temper. He didn't get
Yeah.
too crazy about it. It seemed like he didn't let it get to him. He didn't care that much about the arguments Banana was
Okay.
throwing at him.
No, I think the athletes have the advantage to where they at some level they have to keep their composure. You know,
Yeah.
they play in front of thousands of people, where the champs are reality TV and their job is to create drama.
Right.
So
Exactly.
that, you know,
and
that's
Johnny's
what it was.
again, he's great at it, and you know, he did it. The only reason why I really liked the way that they structured the episode, because they wove it in brilliantly with him and Sean in the beginning, and he was saying, yeah, I started that. So it showed us that CM Punk is a little shit starter too. Like
No,
in
they
the
all are.
beginning, he was saying he started this war and started picking on Sean. So it was like, all right, if you're gonna dish it out, then you're gonna have to be able to take it. So
Oh,
that's the
exactly,
only reason I was
1,000%.
like, all right, he's a little, you know, if he was just this little innocent bunny and Johnny jumped in on him, I would feel bad. But it seemed like he's a little stirrer of the pot as well. So
All right, let's move on from this nonsense. We go to the
Okay.
elimination called Blindsided, which was pretty interesting.
So good.
It was-
I
it was
love
good. It was
blindfolded
interesting.
eliminations. I love that.
I mean, who are you going for? Would you have made the same person to make your calls for you as
Wow.
these guys did?
I think that Darrell was a really smart choice.
Yeah, I would pick
love
him.
him as a competitor. I think he communicates really well. And I also think that when Bananas was going against Wes, Bananas and Darrell had a really good strategy where Bananas was basically hanging all the way to the back of the rope, kind of tiptoeing the rope of the circle. And then Darrell was whispering in his ear so that Wes couldn't hear what Darrell was saying and kind of completely guiding Bananas. So I thought that was a good strategy. Obviously, it didn't work out for him in the end. But I like Darrell as a caller. CT, I love CT. And I think he is a great communicator during eliminations. He's always yelling at people what to do, but he didn't seem to care that much
He's
to
like,
talk to
okay.
Wes.
Yeah,
He's
okay.
like, left. Yeah, you're good. Right.
I thought Louise, back to the Sean versus CM, I was surprised. I mean, like, I was like, what's going to happen? I thought it was really tense. And I thought Louise was an amazing choice for the reason he said, which, like, she has a distinct voice. You're going to catch that out of other just yelling with all the rest of the people cheering and yelling in the background, too. And then I think she was amazing. I think she got him the win with her. He's left-handed, swiping low from the right. I think her advice won it for him. So I think he really picked well.
Well, she's the only one that had advice because his strategy was to swing that thing around.
Wait, can we talk about his original ninja salt?
His roll.
I was like, what? When they cut to commercial and he just comes out of the bat with a somersault, but it ended up being a really cool, fluid, like ninja motion. It was pretty cool, but... Yeah, I mean, it was a really equal playing field, so I don't want to say that I was shocked that Sean Merriman lost, but I'm very surprised he went home this early in the competition. And I feel like, because when I remember seeing this elimination with Knight and Preston, and it was hilarious. I don't think I've ever laughed that loud in my life, but I think their circle was a lot. Bigger. I think the circle was really small tonight, so it didn't really force them to come up with some kind of strategy to kind of feel each other out. It was a really quick elimination, especially between Sean and CM Punk. I feel like they took one step and then they were hitting each other.
Well, that also cuts
very
the
small
time because you can't dance around each other for 10 minutes, which I kind of like.
Oh, but it's
I
so
remember
funny. It's
it
so
is,
good.
but
I
this
wish
was
that
like,
it would have been bigger.
Really?
Yeah.
I liked that it was small because it was like, what's going to happen? That happened. Like, it was just nonstop action.
I think with Wes and Bananas, Wes played it smart because he played the same thing. He went low. But I think where the trick was if you lose one of your senses, all of a sudden your others just get so much stronger. And I was paying close attention to when Bananas would swing. You can hear it swing.
Right.
So, and not only are you hearing your caller, but once you hear the, you just go,
know. Yeah.
You know, and you go low and you go, wah.
I know. At one point, I guess Wes had such good senses.
Yeah.
I swore that he could see through that blindfold. I'm like, does he know? Can he
knowing
see?
Wes.
Because he would completely dodge Banana swing every time, duck completely underneath it, just missing it by a hair, and then would hit Bananas in the ankles. I was like, wow. He has really good senses.
Yeah.
I feel like he could see out of this blindfold.
I mean, Wes beating Bananas.
Bananas did not take it well.
Wow.
Do you think it would have been a different outcome had it been just completely like a football match though? Like they concede, it's physical.
Yeah. That's gotta hurt too because this game
You don't know.
is so much chance. It's there's strategy a little, but man, I was bummed now back to seeing Sean go because I'm sure he's a great competitor and I would have really liked to see more of him, and he seems so sweet, so that was a bummer. But with the Wes and Johnny, I loved he's like, if I lose to Wes, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's like,
he was speechless. He was very, very, very salty.
Well, you think about it,
So
he's so
salty.
mad because now this is 2 eliminations in a row that he's lost. He lost on the last season. Invasions of the Champions went home to Darrell, and now he's losing to Wes. It's the first time him and Wes have seen each other in an elimination, so he is salty.
Yeah.
Which means
I don't
he's going to
blame
be
him.
coming back next season with...
a vengeance.
Yeah. He's even said it himself. It's going to be more vicious, and I thought he stooped a new low, taking that money from Sarah, but I guess we're just going to have to see what other shenanigans he's got up his sleeve because... It is just fascinating to watch that play out.
Yeah. That was great. I mean, that was amazing. That was great. I think Johnny did not see it coming. He was so salty, and I think he is a funny, great winner and a pretty sore loser.
And I love that Wes politicked like he does best to make this elimination happen.
Yeah.
When he got called up there. Well, can I tell you who I want?
Yeah.
I want Bananas. Love that. That might have been one of the best moments of the show.
Yeah, but first of all,
great.
the other 2 votes that did not vote for Bananas is a bunch of BS.
Right,
Because
what was
first of all, if you were smart about it, you can save yourself and not put a target on your back by giving Wes who he wants.
What
You
was
save yourself
that?
from other people. Whoever you vote in is gonna have an eye out for you afterwards. I wouldn't want it to be Bananas if it. I mean, that's who he wants.
What do you think about? Yeah.
I really wish that we knew more behind why those people picked.
Camilla
Why Camilla
picking
picking Darrell and Ashley picking CT. I really want to know why. That's all I'm at. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Why? Are you
Ashley,
thinking
Camilla,
you don't want to
gives?
backstab Bananas? You don't want him coming after you? I
I
don't
don't
really know.
because Darrell and CT, I was going to say Bananas is valuable,
Especially
but so are Darrell and
because
CT.
Camilla was the first one up, and Wes goes, "Can I tell you who I want? I want Bananas." Camilla goes, "Darrell." Why would you do that?
Well, I don't know. That
It's
was
so
so
weird.
weird. I wonder if if they made I won't vote you.
I feel like that's the easiest way to vote is to give someone who they want.
Do you think they had some sort
guess-
of I won't vote you in the first round?
Camilla and
that
Johnny have a weird relationship because they hooked up once, then they were exes, then it was Camilla, Johnny, I hate you, then I guess they're friends again. Now they're kind of equal because they're both these top dog champs. So I guess they've put aside their
Yeah.
differences, and Camilla's kind of cool with Johnny. But
it made it real easy.
I
when Wes
think
said,
I
want.
think production just kind of just throw in the rules and everything like
Vote for
as they
Darrell, vote for
as they
Darrell.
go. No, I think
Yeah.
they're doing it as they go, and we're not seeing the conversations happen because this is a 6-week show.
Right.
This is a trial, and so they don't live together. There's no alcohol. There's no none of that stuff that we're seeing. So I think that's why we don't get that.
Yeah, I was surprised also that the other team voted in Sean. Like, like all these, I guess, again, I'd like to
because
know.
He
We'll
wasn't
have
very
to do a
good
little-
though.
He
He wasn't
sucks
loud.
during the challenge.
Okay, that's what it was. That he
with the hot dog thing.
That's what it
Yeah.
was. Okay, they seem to
Poor
be
guy.
doing it merit based at this point.
Yeah.
He got
Yeah.
so stuck in that ketchup.
Okay.
Of all the
He
people
did.
left, who do you think will win? Who are your top dogs right now? Because we
Wow.
get to see in the previews, we see Lolo getting into it, and now and we're gonna see a little bit more drama and how these guys work with their first time being in the challenge. I really want to see the food eating and trivia. I think
Yes.
that's probably the
And
non-athletic
puzzles-
2 things that
puzzles
I
with
want
the-
to see.
I love
puzzles.
trivia with these people, with
Yes.
the cast of the challenge.
I think
Trivia
that
is
I think that would be a really fun episode to do with the to do with the pros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That would
as
be
winners,
fun.
who are your potential winners?
Wow.
Want to go first? You want me to
No,
go
I
first?
need to think for a second.
Okay.
I gotta.
Well, I know my champs. I have. You're gonna hate me because it's kind of 2 guys, and there's only 3 left.
Okay.
So champ guys, Darrell and CT.
Okay.
I honestly, my brain is thinking Darrell just overall, but CT's so massive and he's such a beast, and he's my soft spot, so I want to say him as well. But I probably am going Darrell as the guys. Girls, Cara Maria. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think that there needs to be that much said to it. Girl's a
Okay.
beast. Sure, she can lose, but I'm thinking that it's going to be her. Pros, that's where it gets tricky. They're honestly
Yeah.
so different and versatile in their own way. Girls, Lolo Jones, just because I don't think she'll ever let herself not win. She's so heated. Guys, I don't know. Cam Wembley's really good.
Yeah.
He's proven it, but so is Gus Kensworthy. He's doing really well for a smaller guy.
Yeah.
That one, still got to feel
hard.
out another episode.
Yeah. With the pros, it's really hard to say. I really think Louise is a super strong competitor, and we're going to
very
see
true.
a lot from her. I think Lolo, that she might be starting to make some, if not enemies, some people that wouldn't mind seeing her go in on her own team. So I don't know how that's going to fare for her in the long run. For the guys, I don't know. They all seem great. I think that Cam seems, as we saw and during the intramural game, calm, cool, and collected, which will really benefit him. But I don't know. It's a toss-up for me there. And then for our champs, I'm thinking CT is ultimate champ, and Camilla or Cara Maria as well. I think are in it for the. What do you think?
It shall unfold.
What do you think?
For the girls, it's either Ashley or Cara Maria, and I'm gonna go with Ashley just based off of performance of how we saw her in the season.
Forgot about Smashley.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with her.
She good.
She's no
You're
one to
right.
mess with. As far as the pro side, I like Louise. Lolo is strong, but I think mentally, that's gonna hurt her a little bit. So I think I'm gonna go with Lindsay, to be honest.
Oh,
We haven't seen a lot of her
okay.
yet, but I like the passion that she's got. Like she's it's a different kind of toughness than
Right.
Lolo, you know?
She's kind of got it
strength.
together.
Yeah.
Too. Like,
It's
she
more
knows her
Quiet
game plan.
strength. Yeah, she's gonna-
Who else am I missing? The guys, I like Darrell. I'm gonna go with Darrell. I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
Did I get everybody?
Jordan.
Well, tweet us and let us know who you think
right.
will
What
be
is
Jordan and
the
Jordan
champs of this season, because this is so much fun to watch.
I love it.
Until next
This
week,
is
guys, where
amazing.
can they find you on social media?
Go ahead.
Ready, go!
Guys, thanks for tuning in. My name is Jenna Bussiere. You can find me on Twitter at Jenna_Bussiere.
And yes, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Who you think's gonna take it home? My name is Pamela Gross, and you can find me at Pamela Gross Jill.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at _Paulina Aguilar and on Instagram at Paulina M. Aguilar. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.